Okay, so I kind of depend on you to let me know how fast to go and whether to zoom in or zoom out or whether you're able to see what I'm doing. And so just keep me posted here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with basic necklines. Basically, necklines come in 3 shapes. Anybody have any idea what those 3 geometric shapes are?
Cylinder.
Circles, yeah.
Triangle? Or triangle?
Triangle, V-neck, right? And you said rectangle or square. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start with the round ones here first. All right, so what you can do is start by just kind of putting the chin in. Now, we're not going to take time to put a face on each one, so you can kind of put an egg head in and then draw in the neck. And you'll notice that, here, I'll show you the difference. If I do this, egg head, it doesn't look quite the same as a real body where you see the trapezius muscle. You know, you see the neck and then the trapezius muscle.
I'm laughing because that's usually how mine looks.
That's why. Okay, anyways, but we're not going to do that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to do a basic round neck or crew neck. And so what we're going to do is start the line a little bit above the actual neck. It could be closer, but just for purposes of, I'm going to extend the line, so I'm making it a pretty wide round neck. But see how I extended the line just slightly above. Now we're going to go ahead and we can draw in the neck, and then what we're going to do is come from behind the neck, just slightly above that line, slope down. Now it's going to look a little bit exaggerated, and that's okay, because the idea is that we want this to look like the garment is being worn by a body, not part of the body, right? So if we didn't make it if we just do this, look, now it's part of the body. Okay, but if we give a little 3-dimension here, that's, all right, so that's all we're going to do, and we'll do that. Now, listen, we can take time to practice it a couple of times. You let me know what you want to do, or if you want to just move on, and I'll just keep moving this tracing paper across, and I'll do it one more time. All right, so I'm just going to kind of indicate my chin and my egg head. I'm going to put in the neck. All right, now here I'm going to draw a round neck, maybe a little bit closer this time. See how I've extended the line just slightly past the natural shoulder. I'm going to come out from behind the neck, over that line, skim the shoulder, behind, over, skimming the shoulder. And now it looks like it's on a body, as opposed to being part of the body.
So with no drawing experience, how do you get your curve to end in the same place in the center? Because mine's crooked.
Practice.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Is there any trick to that?
There really isn't.
Do you draw half and half?
Yeah, I do that a lot of times.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that'll come with practice, and that is perfectly fine to do that too. So one more time, we'll do it that way. So if you're having trouble getting it symmetrical, then you could start here and come to the center and start on this side, kind of trying to eyeball the same spot, and whoops, I did better doing it. But anyways, and come to the center. Okay. I missed my line. Okay, and then we come from behind, over that line, and out, behind, and over that line, and out. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Can you move to the store, please?
Oh, I'm just doing it over and over again so you can see.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to do 3 of them. You have to do 1.
Okay. Oh.
I'm doing it so you can watch it a few times.
Oh, okay. I'll practice in a couple more times.
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep practicing. So get one good round neck there, because now we're going to do a scoop neck. We're going to do a few round necks. We're going to add buttons to one of them. So I'm just going to move this over. All right, so go ahead and move your paper for the next one. And this is also going to be a round neck, but we're just going to make it scooped this time. So we're going to scoop it out a little bit. Oh, is everything straight up there? That's the other thing. Sometimes the camera will make it cockeyed and I can't tell. It looks all right? Okay, so this time, same thing. You can just kind of indicate the chin and the egghead. Go ahead and put in your neck. All right, now this time and you know, and it's perfectly fine to do one half and then the other half so that to try to get it symmetrical. So experiment and see what works for you, because I think I'll do it that way. Basically, we're going to scoop down. We're just making a scoop neck. So now what I'm going to have to do is eyeball over here about the same distance, bringing that line slightly above the actual shoulder of the croquis, and then I'll do the other side. Okay, now I'm going to put what we see there of the trapezius muscle. We're going to come out from behind the neck, above, just slightly above that line, and then curve down to the natural shoulder. So coming behind, just above the line, and then curving down. And then I'll just continue. I've been putting the, like the sleeve seam, or we can make it sleeveless or whatever. So that's a scoop neck. If you want to, you can also put in the clavicle and the pit of the neck. So the croquis has a center front line. That's to help you with determining the center, getting your drawing symmetrical, and you'll see in a minute when we add buttons that it makes a difference with that too. So we've got the scoop neck and the round neck, or jewel neck is what the round neck is called. Sure. Okay, I'll just move my paper over a little bit. Okay, so I'm drawing the scoop neck again. All right, so I'm going to start and scoop down one half of it, and then I'm going to eyeball the other side about the same, and scoop down and meet that line to the best of my ability. Put my trapezius muscle in, come from behind the trapezius, just above that line a little bit, and then slope down to the shoulder. So from behind, just above the line where I extended it up over the shoulder just a little bit. And that's a scoop. So that is a scoop neck, and the first one that we did is just called a jewel neckline. If it's in a t-shirt with a with a rib around it, then it's called a crew neckline. But these first necklines, we'll just imagine that they don't have collars and they don't have collar bands. They just have like a neck facing or whatever. So it's just a neckline.
I'm all like, can we trace the necklines from this? Because I'm sucking trying to free it.
No, because that's why we're doing this. So these are too small. Your croquis are going to be bigger. Okay. So we're continuing with round necklines. Let's do a mock neck, and then we'll do a bateau or boat neckline. All right, so a mock neck, but let's pretend that this one doesn't have a separate collar band. All right, so we're going to start a little higher on the neck this time, and see I draw that line straight across. So a mock turtleneck is basically what we're doing. This is a mock neck that's created by building up the fabric in the pattern. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and put the neck. Okay, now what we're going to do, everybody look up. We're going to come from behind the neck, past this line that we've extended. Behind and down. Behind to pass the line and down. Okay, now in order to make that work in a garment that doesn't have an actual separate neckband for the collar, we would have to build that shape into the pattern. And so we might have a center front seam, and then we might have these kind of cool style seams like so, but that would build that shape into the pattern, and that's called a mock neckline. So basically it's a mock turtleneck is what it is. And that's kind of fun, and I can draw that again if you would like for me to draw that again. I'll give you a second to try it, and then I'll do it again. Mock neckline. So I'll show you what others. So if it did have, like I said, I thought we'd start necklines without collars. But if it did have a collar or a collar band, then here, I'll draw that one too, just so you can see the difference. All right, so I'm putting in my egg head, putting in the neckline. I'm doing the same one again. Okay, so actually, you know what? I did that backwards. Before I put in the neck, I think I'll go ahead and draw the line across. Okay, so gotta go ahead and draw the line across. All right, now I'm going to come from behind the neck, past that line, and then scoop down to the neck. So it's coming behind the neck, past this line, and then scoop down to the shoulder. Okay, so if it was a true mock turtleneck, it would have a seam here, and this would be a separate piece sewn on. But there is a way to do it without doing a separate piece, and that would be this way, where you basically build panels in the pattern that then it sews together, and it creates a mock neck. But either one are referred to as mock turtleneck, or this one I think more of as a mock turtleneck, and this one just a mock neckline. So mock turtleneck line.
So then with that way, you just added a little right at that.
So out of the seam, is that what you're?
Yeah, that.
So it's just,
Second line.
yeah, it's just another seam, and it just kind of mimics that first angle.
But you put it right at the neckline.
Right at the neckline, because yes, good questions, because it is part of the garment, so it doesn't extend. But you can see, you can all see what I'm talking about, though, how, here, I'll move this out of the way, how by doing that, then it doesn't look like it's part of the croquis. It looks like it's sitting on top of the croquis, like you got a garment on your body, right?
Yeah.
You get the idea. Well, let's see. So we've done the crew, we've done we did the scoop. There's a U-neck on here, but the scoop and the U-neck are so close, I don't think we'll draw that one. Oh, let's do the keyhole, and then let's add some buttons. Okay, 2 more round neck. Mine are just going to be these kind of scraps of tracing paper I've got up here for right now. And you guys can just, like I said, just fit as many on the tracing paper as you can. Don't worry about it. This is all for reference. I'm not going to collect it. You're earning points just for being here doing it. Okay? Alrighty, so let's do the keyhole. Okay, so again, we just kind of indicate our chin, our egg head, put in the neck. Okay, now this time, this is basically like the jewel neck, except, so go ahead and draw a smaller shaped circle, extending the line just above the natural shoulder there. Okay, right at the center, and you might, often on with a keyhole, there'll be a button and loop. And so, and then just go ahead and draw a little keyhole. There's your button and loop. Okay, then the same thing, we're gonna come out from behind the neck, just up and above that line, and then scoop down to the natural shoulder, so from behind the neck, above the line, and scooping down to the natural shoulder. And that's called keyhole neckline. Brooke. Everybody got that one, or do you need to see that again? Okay. So are you able to see my lines okay as I draw? Okay, so I'm putting in the chin, the egghead, a couple of ears, there's the neck. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and draw the jewel neckline. Didn't get that very symmetrical. Okay, and then the idea is right at the center front line there that we can see we would have a keyhole. And it would just be a little button and loop. All right, but now we're going to learn about button extensions here in just a minute. Okay, so I'm coming over that line, and then I'm scooping down to the natural shoulder. Okay, this time we're going to add buttons. Okay, so I'm going to move this over again. Okay, so go ahead and put your egg head or your chin, however you choose to do this, and go ahead and indicate the neck. All right, now what we're going to do, everybody looking up for a minute? We're going to start like we would do any of these round necklines, but when we get to center front, we're going to go past center front, and then we're going to draw a line parallel. I should have used a ruler. But you get the idea. We're going to draw a line parallel. There, I'll use a ruler this time. And I'm going to use my clear plastic ruler, and I'll draw that line 1/8 of an inch past. That'll allow me a pretty big button. Okay, so now the buttons always go right at the center front line. When you do a garment, with button placket, did we, Keisha?
No, we didn't.
But when you draft the pattern, remember, Linda, when you draft a pattern, you have to have an extension for the buttons. So there's an extension that comes over and under, and so the buttons fall right at center front, because it would look weird unless it's intentional that the buttons are over here or over here, but it would look odd. All right, so anyways, the buttons go right at center front, and then what's happening here, this is the extension that comes over to cover the buttons, and then there's an extension actually on the other side too. But we're not going to draw that. Instead, what we're going to do is go back up, so kind of eyeball the distance here, and then this time when you come around, we are intentionally drawing half and half because, Tammy, right? Tracy, sorry, Tracy. Because we want the line to just come just the slightest bit lower. So I didn't do that very well. But so see here, this line, and then we would actually want this one to be just the slightest bit lower, but mine doesn't look symmetrical enough. All right, well, so you can see if I messed it up, you're probably going to you might mess it up too, so don't be too hard on yourself. All right, so I'm going to bring that back out.
So is it because you wanted to show that
it's on top?
Yeah.
Like, so it looks like it's overlapping, so if you look at a garment, it would have just, maybe be just a tiny bit higher than here because it's overlapping. And then everything else is the same. You'll come from behind the neck, over the line, and scoop to the natural neck so that it looks three-dimensional. We probably should do that one a couple of times, because that was getting it to look symmetrical. And mine doesn't look symmetrical, so I'm definitely going to try that again. Another thing we could try, I'll move this up out of the way as I get a different one. I'm going to set that right there.
It looks so simple.
Mine didn't come out symmetrical. Wasn't that easy?
Is that called placket front? The buttons?
Yeah,
placket thing?
Yeah, it would have a, well, no, it actually doesn't have a placket. Generally, a placket is a separate piece.
Sewn in, right?
So this is just a button front with an extension, so it has it has an extension for the buttons, and it probably has a facing, because it doesn't have an actual placket.
Okay.
So that's a good question, though, so we'll just call it a button front top. So button front with facing.
Wow, we didn't really show the facing though.
I didn't what?
We didn't really show the facing though, did we? Like the little.
No, because we wouldn't, the idea of a facing is you don't see that facing, so we didn't.
Oh, well, I
on
guess
a-
like, cause we.
On a flat tech, you might, but we've got the figure in there.
Okay, but for drawing purposes, you wouldn't show that?
Well, on a figure, because you wouldn't see it. Remember, the whole idea of the facing is that it cleans the neckline and you don't see it when it's on your body.
But I mean, like, yeah, the placket part. Sorry, I'm using the wrong terminology.
We could have a placket, but I didn't do a placket. Usually plackets are on blouses, and we're gonna be drawing some blouses with collars in a little while, and we'll put plackets on those.
Because I always think about that little strip where your buttons are and you kind of can
And that's
see
the
it.
placket.
Okay.
That is a placket. But it doesn't have to have a placket. You can literally just have a facing, too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this again. Now let's see, this time, to try to get it more symmetrical, I'm gonna try it a different way. I'm gonna go ahead and put the shape in first, trying to get it to be more symmetrical. So you could tackle it a couple of different ways too to try it. Okay, so then this time, I know that I've got a better shape, but I do want this to extend just, I mean, it isn't even a hair. It's like a hair above. It's not a 1/16 of an inch, it's not a 32nd, it's really small. But it comes just slightly above. Oops, and I didn't bring it out far enough. And the extension correlates with the size of the button. So if you have a smaller button, then the extension will be smaller. So this time I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. And there's and there it's just slightly above, and then my buttons, I got a smaller button this time, but the button will still fall right on that center front line. Now, once upon a time, I was told by an assistant designer that I worked with that buttons, you always had to have an odd number of buttons down the front of a garment, that you had 5 or you had 7 or whatever. Well, I was never taught that theory. You put the buttons so that the spacing makes sense, and most importantly, I mean, because it's you know, it's an aesthetic thing. It doesn't have to be an odd number, but I always make sure when I place my buttons down in front of the top one's right there, right? Because I don't want my shirt gapping across my boobs. So one's right there, and then I would place them however, it depends on the size of the button, and it depends on the placing. So I would need one here, and then I would also need one here, so however many I needed to fit in here to make it look nice. You know, you see buttons close together, you see buttons farther apart on some, but oops. My chair went sailing. I would always have one right there. Okay, now, I did not finish my garment, did I? All right, so I'm coming from behind over and scooping down to the shoulder, the natural shoulder. And there, once again, I have just a neckline with a button front. Good. Good. Okay, let's go to triangles. We did quite a few circles. Let's draw a few triangle necklines. All right. I'm going to have tracing paper all over the place up here. All right, so I got just another little scrap piece of tracing paper here to continue with. Okay, now when we get to this V-neck, that center front line is going to be real important, just like it is important for the buttons too. All right, so I go ahead and put in your chin and your egghead, or however you want to do it, and go ahead and indicate the neck there coming down with the trapezius muscle coming behind. Okay, now you can have some creative freedom here. However far out you want your V-neck, that's up to you, and however deep you want your V-neck, that's up to you. All right, so but extend that line slightly above the shoulder, and where you going with it? Right down to the center. All right, now eyeball about the distance that you started over here and do the same over here. And where you going? Right down to the center, and there's your V-neck. Put your trapezius muscle in. Come from behind the neck over that original line that you extended slightly above the shoulder. Follow the slope of the shoulder. Now put in it, and that's your V-neck. Don't actually have too many V-necks on here, do we? Okay, would you like to see that again, or do you feel like you're kind of getting it now?
Like to see it again. Like to see it again.
Okay. Oh, I didn't put the décolleté. I should have, I guess. All right, so putting the chin in. And the neck. All right, and then like I said, this time I think I'll make it closer to the neck. So I put in one side, I eyeball the other side and start about the same point, and just pulling to center front, right to center front, putting in the trapezius, coming from behind the trapezius muscle or neck there, just slightly over top of that line, and then down following along the shoulder, and there is your V-neck, and it's just that simple. Should we do a V-neck with a button extension?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. We're going to do some V-necks with collars. I know it. Let's do a V-neck with a notch lapel. This will blow your mind. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully it won't blow your mind.
I was like, what?
All right.
Was that a best drawing?
Oh, no. Do you see all those drawings in those handouts? We're doing those tonight.
All the what?
All those drawings in the handouts with the skirts and the blouses, and
Oh my gosh.
there's a second one. They were all individual. Oh, maybe you don't have them over here. Oh, you guys don't have them.
Collars.
They're right there. Yeah, there's skirts in the back. Oh, yeah, we found them.
Yeah, we're doing these on the figures.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, we got these.
Yeah, that would be more advanced. This is the warm-up. Okay, but I decided, like I said, I changed this up a little bit. I used to go straight to jackets. I decided that we do glasses and skirts first, and then we're going to do jackets and pants next. Trace of paper. Okay. This tracing paper is a little wrinkled. Okay, we're gonna do a V-neck, but this time we're actually gonna put a notch